This one's for Pontifex on oil. I'm going to tell you some stories, Pontifex. This ought to give you a hoot. Don't worry about the economic stuff. Don't worry about it. It's just a giant taxation system. So is Wall Street. So when you're talking about bubbles and everything, remember that's designed solely just to do that. Now, if it's gold and silver, it's the same fucking thing. It's got to get drawed back to the system to make you keep working on a plantation. Real easy, okay? Virginians use tobacco to trade, et cetera, but it's always a centralized system. And money is the first invasion of another country, okay? All right, so anyway, that's when you're talking about OPEC and them, but don't worry about it. They're westernized and actually think they're not, okay? But that's because they accept a foreign currency at all when they're self-sufficient. But anyway, it's the farce of weaponization game theory and some other stuff. But anyway, Pontifex, moving on. I've been around the oil field my entire fucking life. So was my granddaddy and the rest of them since they've been drilling holes in the fucking ground, which the very first ones, I'll tell you this, y'all will like this. Luckily, I dodged the oil field my entire fucking life. Didn't want to work no fucking rig, especially as a fucking derrick hand or nothing like that doing towers. I didn't want no tripping fucking pipe. Thank God I didn't do it. But when the oil field boomed down here, and by oil field I mean the gas, or natural gas, we'll get to all of it. It'll blow your fucking mind. And nobody listens because it's a fractalized, a Bernie Mandeville model, a socialistic communistic model, where everything is fractalized into specialist jobs, okay? And nobody knows the whole fucking picture when you're on the ground working these different jobs, okay? So just keep that in mind. That's why people look around and they go, I don't understand this. Oil, chemistry, all geography, and all that. Fuck it. Trust me, I'm going to show you. It's real fucking simple. I learned from old timers and and from the newer guys as well. Magic shit, dude. Just magic fucking shit. All right, so let's start. In the old days, they ran the wooden rigs, and of course, they were wildcatting and everything like that. Now, we're going to take Oklahoma, my state, the dumping ground for everybody that ever showed up, or the government didn't want and had pretty much killed out or run off to the territory. Anyway, so when the oil boom begins, they had to run the wildcatters out. Now, the wildcatter guys, this was a time when you even had horse-driven rigs, okay, to drill, off the deck. And it was really massively dangerous, and the oil field's never been able to keep people. They've got a 200% turnover rate in a year, Only the most hardcore methamphetamine users or drunks generally stay in the oil field for any length of time. That's a generalization, but trust me when I say about 90% of the oil field's drug-driven because of the sheer hours of work, all right? Now, that was true for the old days as well, but drinking was the key there. The point was, nobody at that time had any regulation, so they would stack rigs damn near on top of each other, okay? And those were the wooden rigs, and they would have blowouts and fires and everything else and kill all their fucking workers, etc. Now, there were still companies like Standard Oil and stuff like that, don't worry about that. Remember, Standard Oil is the guy financing a little company that owns the rigs, right? You get the point. Now, BP, it's changed. BP owns its own rigs. Halliburton does specific sets. Hell, J.B. Hunt, the ones that fucked up the silver market way back when, Pontifex, I've seen them with their rigs, but they're so fucking slow and outdated, they're not even worth a shit now. I mean, they're a joke now. But anyway, that was the old days, and the way they used to plug a hole when they got done. Literally, they just let the oil blow out on the ground and just fucking pale it up. Okay? Now, the Pennsylvania fields were some of the first, okay? All right, and of course, they moved around as they figured out oil could be done with stuff. Now, remember, your diesel motors were not designed by Vin Diesel. Okay, but that would be cool, right? Vin Diesel made the diesel motor. Well, it was never diesel. It was peanut oil. So once they found that oil crude was plentiful, well, they that stuff kicked off into the new generation of horsepower. Steam's still better in a lot of ways. It's just you can't quite, it's not quite as mobile. You know what I mean? But there again, it's what do you want? I mean, you could have a steam-driven computer, a fucking steam-driven server, at Microsoft where they got gnomes in the basement shoveling coal in a motherfucker. Seriously, that's how hard that is. But they didn't want that. All right, technology moved in a different way because it's driven by specific people that want to control a specific sector. So your Rockefellers and the others, the scam artists, end up fucking all that up. And, of course, your government saw that, too, and wanted its cut. So they moved away from Tesla's work and stuff like that and moved into oil was quick, fast, cheap, and easy, and men would work for anything, and they didn't give a shit about safety, and it'd get you killed. Okay, now, let's move into the 1930s and stuff. All right, they start drilling those, and natural gas becomes a big thing. Now, at that time, believe it or not, when they drilled a well on your place, they leased the chunk from you, drill, and they'd run the natural gas line to your house, and for the rest of your life, you'd have natural gas. Now, they don't do that no more. Oh, fuck no, they don't do that no more. They do not. They do not do that no more. But anyway, there's more to a natural gas well than you'd ever imagine, but let's keep moving on. I'll get to that in a minute. Remember that a gas well ain't an oil well, all right? Oil wells are just oil wells, okay? Oil wells are regenerative over time, okay? What they'll do is for like every 3 oil wells they'll drill, they'll cap 1 just so they can drive the price, okay? Remember that the farce of supply and demand is retarded anyway. Okay, because you're not demanding it, the supply should be cheaper, right? Wrong, it's not. And the demand is down now. But they'll tell you, oh, it's up because of speculating shysters. Have you ever thought that Wall Street itself, the stock exchange itself, not anybody else, is the one driving those prices? Because it's a taxation scheme. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Look at it in another way, Pontifex, in another way. Okay? They got to keep you on the plantation. Okay. So, moving along, I've seen oil wells. I saw it when the boom was here. I saw them actually drilling and capping wells and walking off. They're still not uncapped even now. Yeah, producing oil wells. That's right. They'll shut them down. Beep, beep, beep. And they'll let them regenerate, and over the course of 30 years or so, they'll slowly build back up. Second, okay, kids, listen to me. A dinosaur did not dig a hole 3,000 foot deep and cover itself up on the way down, be nice enough to die, and create fucking oil. Let me explain to you, they have no fucking clue what makes oil. Zero. They have zero fucking clue what makes natural gas. All right, just so in case you know, they'll give you theories, they'll give you all this bullshit. Let me tell you, it's in the ground, and they figured out how to find it. That's all they fucking know. And they've increased the drilling technology quite a bit now. Now, I'm setting gas to the side, and we're just doing oil. I've seen oil. Y'all will laugh. I've seen oil. It's absolutely true, the Beverly Hillbillies, the bubbling crude, the black gold. You have never ever seen crude oil. You've seen oil. I've seen crude oil come out of the ground into the tanks, right? The big 400-barrel tanks. That is gold. It's black and it's gold. It's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. And you'll look at it going, wow, this is not motor oil. Seriously. Okay, moving along here, because this ties into gas wells, okay? Oil and gas wells go together quite well for a reason, and I'm going to tell you what the reason is. Now, listen. Oil wells, over the course of their lifespans, they do slow down. So when they start shutting the well down, they leave them alone, usually, and they'll regenerate, okay? So quite a few of the oil wells that are producing now, or from the 1930s are still producing now, but they're producing at a slower rate. Okay? And many of them get shut down by the pumpers that log, how many barrels she's making. They shut them down, and then later they'll come back through and look at it because the pressure's not going to be enough after a certain point to have to worry about a wellhead blowout or anything like that. Okay? Okay. Real simple. Real simple. Now, do you know how they make diesel? Now, I'm going to explain something to you. If you look at a gas station, diesel is now more than gas. Do you know how they make diesel? No, that's not how they make diesel. I was fucking with you. They make diesel by heating crude oil, and diesel floats to the top. That's correct. That's how hard a refinery is. Now, the tankers that bring the raw diesel, right, they do get refined with additives, chemicals. They don't do any more processing to it than heating it. You can make diesel yourself at your house with motor oil. Did you know that? Interesting. What you use for motor oil has been slagged the fuck out by the oil companies. It's not worth a fuck by the time it gets to you anyway, other than as a lubricant. Yeah. Okay, now, just stick with me here. When the tanker comes to the filling station of your choice, truck stop, whatever, and before they get there, they add additives to the tank on the way. That's correct. I've talked to a couple drivers that do that. And regional pricing is the scam that they run. It's how much can I hit a man for in his area. Okay? So remember that this is real simple. It's real simple. Okay? Anyway, then they get to say, well, we've added antifreeze. Now, this is for diesel trucks, semis. Like, I drive tanker truck, whatever, dry van. Did a little flatbed, little low boy, shit like that. Used to do heavy equipment with my dad, etc. Anyway, the point is, it's real simple. There's nothing to it. Heat up some crude oil and get diesel. Now, they have what's called sweet and sour crude. Sour crude's not all that worth a fuck. It comes up out of the ground, and it just is not very good, okay? It's basically like motor oil. You're not going to get a lot out of it, okay? Or you can call sour motor oil because they're learning how to rerun motor oil back through the system, out from you, go back through the system, back to a reclaimer, and they use natural gas to sweeten it, and you can make diesel. You didn't know that shit, did you? That's okay. That's cool. Don't worry about it. All right, because we ain't done yet. All right, so we're just taking sweet crude, right? Sweet crude is no big deal whatsoever. All right. Now, the wells are, 3, 4, 5,000 foot deep. I can't remember the deepest well last time I asked a friend of mine. The last he knew of was, I think, about 12,000 feet. I can't remember because I ain't a driller, you know what I mean? I ain't a pumper. I don't keep up with that shit. But I do know something about the wells, all right, because we're going to get into it. Because on oil wells, and they used to do it on natural gas wells too, the meters on the wells, now what it is the meters count the if I remember rightly, they do the cubic foot. I can't remember, depending on the meter. They use digital meters that have solar panels on them now, and it counts it. Now, once it comes up and it runs down the line back to the the pumping stations, all the oil wells in an area dump to a main line that goes to a pumping station that moves that oil, that crude, down the pipeline to a refiner. Okay? All right. Just in case you wanted to know, there's not enough trucks on this fucking planet to handle the amount of crude that runs down these pipelines. Okay? Massive amounts. I can tell you stories about that shit too, about finding old lines and having them blow out, right? Or walking out and somebody saying, well, we're running a new 42-inch line down through here. Well, we just found a feeder line over here. Well, what does the blueprint say? What do we have anything on it? No. Well, where does it go? We have no fucking idea. Well, you do know if that's a fucking, say a 36-inch line, you do know that there's going to be a shitload of oil wells connected to this motherfucker, right? Yeah. Well, what the fuck are we going to do? You can't leave it uncapped, man. That shit start producing and blowing it out everywhere. Well, it's dry now. Uh-oh. That probably means either they shut the wells down or these sumbitches are overflowing and running onto the fucking ground and nobody's decided to check that shit in 50 fucking years. Because you have pumpers and shit. Companies come and go. I've seen fucking waste tanks, water tanks, especially on gas wells, overflowing, and nobody's checked them motherfuckers in 3 years, right? And open top tanks, right? For catching the wastewater, the fracking water, the flowback. Well, not flowback, but you get the point. Anyway, and you're sitting there going, damn, when was the last time somebody checked this, Pumper Joe? Well, we check it about once every year. Well, goddamn. I couldn't even find a road to come down to this son of a bitch. When did they drill this? Well, they drilled this son of a bitch back in 1968. You know, it's like, God damn, Farmer Joe. It's on his land and he ain't even checking that shit. You know? Okay, moving along. So, on the oil wells, stuff like that, they don't do any fracking at them. Well, not in the natural gas vein. The point is, it's easy. They run the jacks, the horses, and I've done work over rigs. Bringing out fresh water to work over rigs, stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. It is. It's fairly, when you're talking crude oil and stuff like that, it's fairly interesting. But anyway, so they are regenerative. Now, let's move on to natural gas. Now, I know more about natural gas simply because running water back and forth and doing all this shit, you have to spend hour after hour out there. You know what I mean? Yes. Working fucking 14 hours a day for 3 months straight with no days off. So, yeah, and it's all scab labor here. There ain't no fucking union. We don't get paid worth of fuck. $15 an hour here might sound good, but you go somewhere else. That's right. There ain't no union. The oil field don't care for that shit except for the pipeline. But anyway, my shitty state's a right-to-work state, and the oil field regulations are a fucking joke. They haven't been updated since fucking 1933, right? So they don't care who they kill. Anyway, so, and I'd talked to a couple people on here about my oil field knowledge. Now, granted, I'm not a geologist or any of that, or hydrologist or any of that. I don't do core samples and shit like that. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Okay. About that end of it, I give a shit how it works. So, anyway, now let's move into natural gas. Well, the natural gas is really easy, all right? They just drill down there into a pocket, after they run their testing. Because they can't afford to drill a dry hole anymore. However, let me tell you another secret on crude and natural, not natural gas, but crude. They'll do it with crude. If they drill a dry hole, they'll use that dry hole for storage. You can store a shitload of crude oil and hide it, and you can hide people in a fucking dry hole too. Don't think there's a lot of shit I've heard of. But, so those dry holes don't go to waste. Plus, they might use them as a disposal, because you got to take them chemicals somewhere now, don't you? All right, now I'm not going to get into that end of it, okay? I'm not. On the disposal sections, I'm not going to get into that. You don't want to know. You really don't want to fucking know. But if you really do want to know, just send me a message and I'll tell you. But I'm not going to say it here, okay? People get killed over that type of shit. But the other stuff, it's well known. It's just people don't think about what they're doing or what they know. So, anyway, moving along. So, they go out and they drill a gas hole. Ain't no big deal. Just drill a damn hole. All right, you know about casings. If you don't, casings are concrete and everything like that. And they use drilling mud, either water or oil base. And they'll thin it with diesel or what have you. I've been to locations that if your cows would have wandered through, it would have fucking killed them. Okay, serious. Some of them fucking rigs are so nasty, it's unreal. And I've been on some rigs that the straw boss, the company man, would kick your fucking ass instantly. I mean, he would take a fucking monkey wrench to you if they caught you spilling a drop of fucking water or mud on their location. And those are the guys I liked. Okay? if I remember right, it was and ain't nobody going to say nothing to me about it, but Bronco rigs. They were damn good about keeping clean rigs, and it depended on the company men, and some of the company men were hard-ass motherfuckers, but they kept a clean location, okay? So anyway, if you don't know, they circulate water down through there, and they'll rerun mud through there. You know, you gotta watch the mud, because the mud helps hold down the pressure and everything, and lubricates a bit when you're drilling down through there, and the derrick, you know, motors, everything does what it's supposed to do, and you trip the pipe down and you trip the pipe up. But I'm not a deckhand. I know deckhands, so I can't tell you everything about it. Okay. But anyway, moving along here. They got sump pits outside of them for overflow and everything like that, just in case something happens. You know, shaker pits, like half and full shaker pits, stuff like that. It's not a bad deal. It's most of them are really clean now. I mean, I've been on some that I had to slog through knee-deep diesel. I mean, it cured my boots. I know guys that got rashes that never went away. Well, they did eventually. Guys that lost skin because these fuckers are dumping acidizer when they ain't supposed to, or the trash mud is fucking just overflowing onto the location. You know, stupid shit, right? Yeah, thanks EPA, you useless motherfuckers. I've seen cattle get killed when that shit goes off down into a creek. Yeah, but they won't tell you that shit. They hide that shit. Even the government hides that shit. They don't want you to know that shit. There's no telling how many fucking people have died from the shit that they run, because one of the things I really wanted to say, now this is true, and I've said it before, Gasland, the movie, is an interesting movie. And people are, and they should be worried about it, because one of the theoretical models I did after I quit working the oil field was I talked to some people, and I said, you do realize that when you're fracking a fucking location, use your fucking common sense. You're shoving in 50,000 barrels, 60 up to 100,000 barrel more. Some I hear are massive gas wells. But you're shoving in 100,000 barrel of salt water, you know, and the flowback's coming out, and you fracked it, and you're evacuating pressure. All right, gas pressure. What the fuck do you think happens if that vein, that the fracture, and the actual cavity is the size of a town, and you drain that motherfucker dry, dummy? What happens? Do you think it's not going to collapse and cause a fucking mini earthquake? Well, guess what proved me the fuck right? Well, the Pennsylvania over there by that disposal that they had the fucking collapses there. We have had earthquakes here where we've never had earthquakes that size before. See, that's what I'm saying. Now, some of it, yeah, you can try to fuck with me, government, or your so-called, quote, geologist, unquote, but I'm not a fucking moron. If you put the city of Dallas on top of empty cavities, it's going to fucking collapse because of the plate shift. All right, but Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking stupid I can't go to college, right? I'm too poor, too stupid, and yet I can figure this out, and that theory's already making its run around everybody. Now, I know that. It's just common fucking sense, but for some reason, college doesn't teach you that. Moving along. Sorry, moving along. That was me being a dick. Moving along. So, you got your hole drilled and everything, and here comes your fracking crew, and they start shoving sand, proprietary chemicals you do not want to know about whatsoever, okay, under massive high pressures with liquid nitrogen, okay? That's right, liquid nitrogen. And acidizers, okay? Now, when they're drilling, they'll use wood pulp or something along those lines to help pack the fractures and stuff. It's an interesting deal. It depends on who you talk to and how they're doing it. But on the flowback deal, this is the important part. I've been to Halliburton when Halliburton was running the flowback operations, and I never did like the Halliburton bullshit. Okay, I was only at 2 locations that Halliburton was on there. And that's where I stumbled across NORM, naturally occurring radioactive material. Now, let me tell you something, okay? Even Alex Jones has said it, and I know it's a fact. That NORM, they'll tell you that NORM came up out of the ground. No, son. They're shoving NORM in to trace the fractures. And they also do it by GPS. Okay. So don't believe all that bullshit. All right. They're shoving radioactive material down in there. Now, you do know they're shoving it through your water supply when they do it. You have to trust that these dickheads let the casing dry correctly. Didn't fuck up the pour, right? And didn't fuck up and perforate the casing. Because if they perforate the casing, it's going to destroy everything. There was a rig not 4 miles from my house that dumped down, 400 barrels of oil base, and they never figured out where it went. So they capped that bitch off. They capped that motherfucker off and moved on. That's right. They went through something, and they kept shoving the mud down, and the mud never came back up. It's supposed to recirculate up back through the drill stem and everything. You understand? Okay. You get my point. It's supposed to recirculate. Well, what happens when it don't? And you just keep shoving fucking mud down in there. That's a bad fucking deal, ain't it? Oh, yeah, that's a bad fucking deal. And it's running some of these rigs $1 million a day. And they can't afford to be shut down just shoving fucking mud down in there and not actually doing anything. Or that's what the companies will tell you. But anyway, moving on. Jumping back to the fracking. When they do the fracking, they shove the Norm. Anyway, the deal is, I come across Norm sitting out there in fucking boxes, right? Cardboard fucking boxes with a sign saying, Norm, no cell phone use. It's like, well, at this point in time, my teeth are going to fucking start falling out. I'm not really worried about using my cell phone. You know, and there was a lot of us going, no. No, you can send us to another location, motherfucker. I ain't doing this. Now, I've seen blowouts when the fuckers, when they start a frack job and they run that cocksucker wide open on the orifice, right? And the flowback is unfucking real. We're talking fucking 400 barrels an hour. I mean, that's fucking nuts. You've got trucks piled on top of each other trying to pull that shit out as fast as it's coming out of the ground. The water, the salt water, the flowback, okay? Because when it fractures, it allows more gas to come out faster, all right? And it allows access to other pockets they wouldn't usually get. But remember how the pressure is. It's fucking unreal down in there. That they're shoving it in onto compressed gas with water and nitrogen, and when the liquid nitrogen expands, it just busts it. The sand, when it passes through, scours the fractures. Okay, real easy, no big deal. Okay, anyway, and I've heard of, and got lucky because they evacuated everybody before I got there, but they had a blowout at the Brown, about 15 miles away. They're dumping fucking gas in the air, man. They lost, 40 or 50,000 cubic feet from what I understood. And, I mean, everybody made a run for it. Fuck you. I ain't staying here. Static electricity set this motherfucker off. Boom. Okay, so anyway, you're doing your flowback and everything, and you're running the trucks and everything. I worked for a solid month before somebody told me what the fuck H2S was. Yeah, here I am crawling around these fucking frack tanks and everything and checking the old wells running the rest of them, the older wells, right? Just the water. And sure shit, the lease runs, the older ones. And sure shit, nobody told me about H2S. You crack one of them fucking tanks and stick your face down in there, H2S will kill you in about 2 breaths. Right? Nobody even fucking told me about it. No, didn't worry about it. Fuck it. Ain't no call for that. Don't worry about that, son. Right? Well, anyway. Okay. So, luckily I never got H2S, or if I did, I guess I'm glad, I'm lucky, right? I know guys that got problems now, and this is serious shit, and I'm not joking. I know guys that got problems now that had to have stemmed from fucking oil field and shit they're around. The acidizer alone will peel fucking your fingerprints off. Yeah, you got to be real. I've seen it eat gloves, turn tires blue. Some asshole ordered a load of acidizer from somebody else, and they dumped it off in the fucking frack tank. Goddamn, the flowback people didn't in a metal frack tank. Thank you very much. And it wasn't ready for it, and it ate through the fucking frack tank and went everywhere. They just burned it up. right? Acidized, just bermed it up. Fuck it, here, just make a little dirt pond. Fuck it. Keep drilling or keep flow backing. It's like, God damn, that's the one that killed all the fucking cows, right? Because it leached through the fucking soil off into the deal. All right, and they sent our guys to suck his shit off the ground, and it ate the ends off the fucking hoses and was eating their boots. And they didn't have no protection at all. They tried to call me out there, and I said, fuck you, you're out of your goddamn mind. There ain't no way you can fire my ass here now. You're about a retarded motherfucker, you know. But anyway, moving along. So you've got your flowback coming out, right? It starts to slow down and production runs begin. All right, your production begins when everybody else is off, the pressure's dropped, and up comes your gas. All right, now it's wet, of course, and it's got to go to the pumping station. It's got to be dried. Seriously, okay? Now, here comes the interesting stuff. I'm going to hit you with meters, orifices, and some tricks that they use to fuck lease owners, and you too. And you've never heard of it, and you don't know it. Okay? So, anywho, up comes the natural gas and everything. Frack company's gone. You're running the lease water, right? Because it's dropped from flowback level to lease water, assuming everything went right. You don't never fucking know. You don't know if they've blowed the casing and are contaminating the fucking water supply. What would they care? They ain't going to check. They're done with their shit. But anyway, when the flowback's coming up, when it's freezing, you can hold on to the hose when you're pulling the fucking, because we were using like 130 barrel dragon trailers. Thankfully, they were baffles. I've drove some that are unbaffled and they're a cocksucker. Boy, you can have an accident one of them, because you can start carrying upwards to fucking 100,000 pounds, which is about 20,000 pound over, right? Get your ass caught, and you wouldn't even know it, right? What choice do you got? Well, don't worry, John Law, the highway patrolman, will fucking tell you what choice you got. Pay the fucking ticket. That's the choice you got, and it's going to be an expensive motherfucking one, right? Anyway, moving along. You can hold on to the hose, because once that nitrogen expands down there and that shit starts to build up pressure, it'll scald the piss out of you. You can hold on. We would lean against the fucking trailers when we were pulling it, right? Going, oh, God, it feels so good. You know, on 4-inch lines, not the 3-inch, but on the 3-inch lines, not 2-inch lines. And you could hold on to, oh, man, it feels so good. And then you'd have to stop because you'd have to unhook everything. You know what I mean. Anyway, I know it don't mean nothing to y'all, but I've seen flowback come out of a damn well so fast when they open it up with orifices. They'll pull just think of it as a nozzle, a plate, whatever you want to call it. When the feeder line's coming off the head, off the Christmas tree, what they'll do is they'll swap orifices to a big fucking orifice so they can hurry the job along, and the deal is it'll dump. So I've actually seen it, and this was about 20 miles away. It was the pressure was so high it drilled where it dumps into the frack tank, or frack tanks, right? Which are just trailers with wheels that are designed to hold the flow back while you pull it out of them. Okay. Well, the deal is the pressure was so high it drilled a hole through the bottom, through a 1/2 inch of fucking sheet metal. Yeah, that's some fucking pressure. And so fucking hot you could sweat in fucking dead frozen winter. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was pounding through that son of a bitch to do that. Okay, but anyway, moving along. All right, so we're to the production phase, and you're pulling what we call lease water. All right, lease water is just you go out and you get the lease water, and you go drag it off to the disposal. Now, disposals, I'm not going to get into it, but disposal's a hole, another well that probably stopped producing, and they take the water and they shove it in the fucking hole. Yes, that's how hard this is. There's your disposal. That's your fucking disposal. Okay, all right. There's big money to be made in disposals. Woo, doggies, is there ever fucking big money to be made? Big fucking money. Anyway, I ain't going to go into that. Moving along. All right, you're going, taking your lease water, everything like that. They'll have a drip tank. All right, now here's the other scam. And to me, it's important that people fucking know, because the oil companies are pounding your asshole. And this is for Farmer John that owns that fucking land that they're leasing. All right, for the last 100 fucking years, they've known about drip gas. Now, the old-timers used to know. Drip gas is liquefied natural fucking gas. It comes out of the ground in two forms: gas and liquid natural gas. And the good stuff looks like vodka, and it's a little bit thick, and it has enough octane to run your fucking vehicle with no problem. The old-timers used to take buckets and run them down into the fucking drip tanks and draw them buckets up and run it into tractors and everything else, and it'll run just as smooth as fucking silk. Now, it depends on the octane. That varies from well to well. I've seen purple drip, yellow drip, green drip that actually had oil in it. Some crazy-looking fucking rank, stinking shit. But I guarantee you it'd burnt at some rate, just not enough to run your vehicle. And I've seen drip so fucking clear that you had to tape it, right, with color paste, because you wouldn't know it was even in there, man, right? Because you have to pull on the lease well, on the drip tanks, right? It'll have some water in it. Well, you've got to, for a reclaimer to come out and grab that, we ain't allowed to do that. No, sir. That goes to the reclaimer. I'll tell you about the reclaimer in a little while. Well, they send a special truck just for that, and nobody ever talks about this shit like it doesn't exist. Well, anyway, it'll have water in that fucking drip tank. Okay? You got to pull that water off of there so the reclaimer can come and get the drip. Okay? All right. Drip stealing by companies, by rival companies, and oil companies. Oh, it's a big fucking profit maker. A big fucking profit maker. Anyway, moving along. So they pull the water off the bottom of a fucking tank. You know, you do. You have to tape it and color it. And there you go, right? It's straight fucking drip. You could literally just put it in your fucking vehicle and drive it around. And they did in the old days. And you can do it now. Okay, that's all there is to it, but everybody's forgot this shit. Well, anyway, here's the scam. Here's the scam. It's the same as fucking gasoline, right? Gasoline is just diesel that's been stripped down, right? Even more than what it is before, with additives. You know, other shit, like now you've got ethanol and everything else. Well, what the fuck? Well, the pentanes, it's also called pentanes. They hide the name of this shit so you'll never notice it when you go look on a stock exchange or anything like that. Pentanes is the liquefied natural gas, okay? That shit sells exactly the same per barrel as oil, crude oil. I'm going to tell you why later. Okay, and these fucking wells can produce some serious fucking drip gas, man. 400 barrels in a week. I want you to think of that. Do you know how many barrels you need to drive a car? Are you going to use a 55-gallon drum? Yeah. That's right. Now start using your fucking head and thinking, Jesus Christ. Now, here's the scam. They tell Farmer John, and they tell me, the worker, and they tell everybody else in the world that's hazardous waste. And they get tax credits for hauling it off the fucking lease. Shit you not. I shit you not. They get paid, subsidized to haul off perfectly good shit as hazardous waste. And you think I'm fucking joking, and I ain't. That's the absolute honest to God's fucking truth. That is. Because they call it hazardous waste. And it's got to go away. It's got to go away. But it's got to go in a special truck. Well, if it's waste, why don't I pick it up with the lease water? Oh, fuck no. 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 The reclaimer gets that shit. And you're going, well, wait a minute. You're not paying Farmer John by the barrel. You're telling him you don't owe him at all because it's hazardous fucking waste. Yet you're using it. It doesn't go to the fucking disposal. Yeah. And you can, okay, now, it should have blowed your giblet mind, right? Let's move along. Because I'll tell you, for the Alex Jones fans, which I am too, as an entertainer, Alex Jones don't know jack shit when it comes to this stuff. None of them do. They have no fucking idea what goes on. They really don't. They really don't. Okay, move along. So, the reclaimer comes and gets the fucking hazardous waste pentanes. Okay? And they'll tell you, oh, we use it in medical research. No, you don't, you lying motherfucker. I know exactly what you do with it. BP and everybody else. Well, actually, let's just go the oil companies, right? Whoever it is. It could be Antero, Chesapeake. Yeah, that's right, Chesapeake. And some of the others, right? Yeah, they just don't discuss this shit. So they're fucking Farmer John hard anyway. All right? Because they have the old style meters have got a ceramic plate in there, and them fucking pumpers would chip them plates so they'd read wrong, and they'd read low. And Farmer John would get fucked out of them extra cubic feet. That's right, Chesapeake and Antero. I know how this shit works with your company fucking pumpers. That's right. See, they went to company pumpers. Used to be you'd hire an independent pumper, right? The farmer would say, no, I don't trust your fucking guys. I want an independent pumper that won't fuck me. Well, people are so stupid now they don't really fucking care. They really don't. Okay, moving along. So, a reclaimer trucker comes in, grabs the pentanes, the liquid gas, the drip gas, right? They used to call it white gas, drip gas, whatever the fuck. It'll burn in a vehicle. It smells weird, though. It smells really weird, okay? Okay, you get used to it, but it burns just fine. All right, so this hazardous waste, unquote, goes to the fucking reclaimer, and nobody could ever figure out what the fucking reclaimer actually did. Oh, it's just a disposal is what you'll get told. It's just a fucking disposal. No, it's not. You know what they do with it? Let's go back to that oil. Remember sour crude that ain't worth a fuck? You see, they take a little pump truck, like a 40-barrel pump truck. Now, I've seen this one. I've seen this. That's not the whole case. I just want you to bear with me. They'll take like a little 40-barrel tanker, and it's got a fucking radiator on it, literally a radiator, and they start pushing pentane through with that sour fucking crude, and they sweeten that bitch up, and they pawn it on the market. Ta-da! Crude oil that was worth not a fuck, right? Sour crude is now worth a fuck. You can take used motor oil that's so fucking bad, you couldn't do nothing with it, and run that fucking the pentane through it, and it'll filter out the bad shit. The bad shit will drop out of it, right? Carbon, whatever the other particulates are, and it'll drop out, and it'll sweeten that fucking that sour crude up to the point where you're getting top shelf off of it. And they are not even paying the fucking farmer for it. Nope, it's hazardous waste. They are getting subsidized to haul it off by the government. Interesting, right? Interesting. Okay, this is the beauty of capitalism. They've been fucking you your entire life, and people just don't get it. All right, they don't. They're more worried about fucking money and doing a little tweak than they are anything else. So anyway, so you run that. You can do that. Now the reclaimers do other things with the pentanes. There's shit I know I don't know that they do. Right? That's the way that is. I'm not going to go into disposals, but there you go. There you go. That's right. That's right. You could have one oil well on your property, kids, and you could drive your vehicle the rest of your life for free. Well, a gas well for free. You could heat your house with natural gas for free. And literally, people are so fucking stupid now that when we'll do a lease contract with the oil field, with an oil company, with a landman, they're so fucking stupid that they won't get a natural gas line run to their fucking house. And you can use as much natural gas as you fucking want. You do understand you could run 15 generators. It's for free. It's your fucking land and your oil well. Think about this. They don't even do it now. They tell you they can't. That's because they don't want to. There is no can't here, motherfucker. Ain't nothing changed. They'll tell you that pentane, that drip gas ain't worth a fuck yet. I know people that back during the day, right, let's drop back to the 40s and the 50s, never had to buy gasoline once. And you're coming to a time, people, that shit ain't going to be forgot. And they talk about it in hushed fucking whispers. But I'm telling you now, I'm telling you because I know for a fact they're fucking you, your county, and everybody else because nobody's getting no money out of that but them. I do not feel bad for them fucking oil companies whatsoever. That does not even touch subsidies. That does not touch them fucking up your water supply. That does not touch them destabilizing your local region tectonically, geographically. You understand? Geologically. Ooh, that's a good word. All right. That doesn't even touch any of that. That doesn't even touch disposals. Oh, my God, if you knew that shit, there's no fucking way you'd allow the oil companies to operate the way they do. None. Zero would you allow that shit. Zero. Zero. Go watch Gasland, and you'll learn some of the shit that happened. Now, that never happened down here, but I've seen some crazy shit. I've seen them frack one well 3 miles away and blow out to the point where it's puking all over the ground. The lease water on another well. These people are gambling with everything turning out right because there ain't no fucking concrete between well 1 and well 2. Those are straight fractures. And if you frack the one and it busts the goddamn plate right there and get to your water supply, what the fuck do you think's going to happen in between those two wells? All right? That doesn't count them fucking people by horizontal drilling. Well, if you won't sell to us, we'll just go to the neighbors. And we'll pay him $20 to drill on your fucking land. That's right. They do that all the fucking time. That's the rage now. Because they'll go grab up some land from the fucking from the county. Or shit like that. Somebody's mortgage and go drill. Dude, Alex Jones. You don't even know how many oil wells are inside Dallas city limits that that if you were to go, you drive by, you think it looks like a building. It's not. It's a fucking oil well, right? You'll drive by a place. We had guys go down into Dallas that were scared shitless of getting killed because of the areas they went into. That fucking bad, man. The real bad parts of Dallas. And furthermore, they would actually drive around, have to call the fucking office. What the fuck is this? There is no fucking well here. Yes, there is. It's a building, motherfucker, right in front of you. What? Who puts We do that so it won't lower property values. Well, goddamn, you have no idea if they're keeping up with the well worth of fuck, man. Texas has real strict regulations. I like Texas for this. They have real strict regulations on their stuff. But they have to enforce them. Yeah, what, the fucking EPA's not going to do it. They get kickbacks. I know, EPA, how you work, because I know guys that did that to you, EPA, and you didn't mind it a fucking bit. Now, did you, son? You took him fucking kickbacks, didn't you, agent of the EPA? And then you walked fuck away and didn't worry about it as long as you got your fucking cut. How interesting is that, EPA? Don't piss down my motherfucking back and tell me it's raining. There's only one of us here that's fucking stupid. I ain't out here killing people or fucking up a couple generations because of proprietary flowback bullshit. Yeah, you can suck my dick, especially with Norm. You can really suck my dick with Norm. All right? That shit is above and beyond fucking retarded. But anyway, it's kids, there you go. And it's no help when Farmer John's a fucking idiot and he'll go face down and ass up for $20 and a pack of smokes. They're fucking stupid. They won't even get a decent lease road, man. You can't even get the fucking companies to come out because the dumbass that signed the contract, the farmer wasn't even smart enough to get something out of the fucking contract. But anyway, that's why they work the way they do. And if you'll notice, there ain't no lawyers to help you then. Oh, no, but right away, oh, fuck, them lawyers show up to help the county and the oil companies kick your ass out on right away. Oh, I know landmen too, motherfucker, so I ain't stupid. But anyway, Pontifex, I wanted to do this for you. And Tenney-Broust too, because I like Tenney-Broust. That's the oil field. I'm leaving specific gaps of what I know out. Okay? There's no call for none of that, but like I said, if you really want to know, you'll tell me, you'll message me or whatever. So that's how hard this is. That's all there is to this shit, kids. If somebody can fuck you, they will. And the oil companies are the first ones to do it because they're fucking scumbags. They literally are. Not all the people are. I met really good pumpers, man. Really good. There's an independent pumper I know. He's just a really good guy. A really decent guy. Okay? But the oil field's so fucking corrupt. And the drugs and shit, man. Not pumpers or nothing, but the rigs and everything. I don't give a fuck if another boom, and another, before I forget, people will tell you about booms and busts in oil field cycles. All they're doing, they already know the oil's there. They checked and found out 15 fucking years ago. They're not going to drill it. They're not going to drill the fucking gas and increase the supply so they can drop the fucking price. They're not going to do it. It's all arbitrary models, man. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Okay, and it is true. Now, fuck the old fart cocksucker down there in Texas saying we need to run natural gas cars. Well, what they're going to, you know how much, you've got 5 times the amount of natural gas as you do oil. But I guarantee you they're going to tell you they ain't got jack shit, and they barely got enough to sell it to you for $5 a gallon. All right, I can't remember his name. I never did like that motherfucker down there. He's the one that was trying to buy up water supplies and shit like that and fuck people. But anyway, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, so there you go. The point is, by now you ought to know. And now I told you the details, and I ain't going no further than that. But enjoy it if you want to. Wait, one other thing. Don't dare have the balls of the backbone to bitch at them fucking oil companies. Not a one. And this is true for me too. I ain't lifting. I'm carrying this fucking deal myself. So I know I got to take responsibility for this. If you don't fucking like it, do something about it. Build something better. That's correct. That's why I did my ideas video, which I pulled, But the point is, do something. Use your fucking head, and you won't have to do all. Well, I ain't got the money. Do it on paper and sell it to an asshole with money. Well, the oil companies will suppress it. No, they won't. Does it look like they're suppressing the shit on YouTube? No, but they'll tell you they are. But they're not suppressing the new ideas, recumbent bikes, all kinds of interesting. They're not repressing that shit. Give me a fucking break. If you don't like it, use your fucking head and make something. But for this, fuck you, Standard Oil, and fuck all you cocksuckers. How about that? That's a fair trade. But if you don't like it, do better. That's the point. It's on you. No more whining or bitching about this or that. It's on you. It's on you. You got to make the choice. What the fuck am I going to do about this? I ain't got no money for gas. We either walk, buy a goddamn horse, get a bicycle, or design something that don't use fucking oil. You do it. Why the fuck are you waiting on somebody else? You can come on YouTube and do a fucking video and whine about it. I don't mean you Pontifex or anybody. You get the point in general, right? Okay, do something about it. Are you fucking stupid as oil companies? No. Then don't be as fucking stupid as the oil companies.